Hello, lovelies. Today I'd like to talk about something that I really wish I had been told when I started out my modeling career. That is that the name you choose to use with your modeling business can have a huge impact on your career. For example, let's look at my name. When I started out, I knew I wanted to use the name Eleanor. I loved it, and it fit for me. What I couldn't decide, though, was a last name, a second name to use to go by with modeling. Because of that, I chose an abbreviation and named myself Eleanor R. This worked for a while, but eventually I ended up flooded with emails asking me, Rigby or Roosevelt? So much so that for a while I actually used the hashtag #RoseNotRoosevelt, and eventually ended up changing the R to Rose, and now go by the moniker Eleanor Rose. This could have easily been avoided if I'd taken the time to do a simple Google search and realize that Eleanor R was not the best way to brand myself. Even with Eleanor Rose, I still am hard to find via Google, which has both pros and cons, but if people want to find my work, they often have to search Eleanor Rose model. So, if you are looking to create a name for your modeling business, or perhaps change what you use, here are some simple guidelines that I'd like to suggest. First, pick something that sounds real and professional. Nobody wants to hire Baby Cake 69 for their photo shoot, however good their photos are. Baby Cake 69 just doesn't sound like a professional model. Maybe she's worked hard on her portfolio, has excellent skills, looks wonderful, and is a wonderful model who should be hired. But with that name, the only people who are going to hire her are probably the sort of clients that most of us don't want to attract. So, with that in mind, I highly suggest, as I said, using something that sounds real. I chose Eleanor by going through famous muses of photographers and finding a name that I liked. I'm based on Eleanor Callahan, Harry Callahan's muse and wife. You can use that to find a first name for yourself, or go off of a muse, mentor, inspiration from a different field, a family name, whatever you'd like. Definitely put some thought into not using any names that are too close to yourself. There are models who go by their legal names, and if that feels like a good fit for you, for all means, go for it. But please do consider that that means you're very accessible to fans. And since many of us do deal with fans who are pushy or rude, and often like to send dick pics, generally I don't want that sort of person to have access to my legal name and thus my address. Now, not everybody is going to be like that, but in general, I tend to recommend that models don't use their legal names. So once you've figured out a first name, it's time to find a good last name. I generally recommend picking something generic, but not overused. And take a look at what other models are using. You don't want to mimic anybody. You don't want to steal a last name. So you want to take a look at other models in your field. Get a feel for what sort of thing they're using. How does it sound? How does it flow? And make sure that you're not stealing a name from someone. That's very important. You want to be Googleable. You want to be findable. So do your research, come up with a name that works, and then do more research on that name. Google it. Make sure nobody else is using it. Google it combined with the word model. Make sure nobody is using it there. And then make sure that accounts are available for what you'd want to use. This includes portfolio sites like Model Mayhem and Model Society, sites like Zivity and Patreon and Suicide Girls, if those are sites that you would like to eventually be a part of, email addresses that you might want to use, social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Elo, anything you think you might be using, Tumblr. You want to check those out and make sure that the name that you would want to go with the name you've chosen for your modeling is available. Additionally, you'll want to look up domain names. I usually recommend to the models I work with that if they're serious about modeling and think that they will want to eventually run a website, that they buy their domain name immediately, as soon as they've chosen their name. A domain name only costs about $10 to $15 a year, and that way when you're ready to run your website, you'll have it available. There's nothing worse than running a modeling career for 2 or 3 years with a name that you've thoroughly branded yourself as, and then realizing that the domain name that you would want to use with that name is taken. That means you have to scrabble around trying to find a domain name that makes sense for you and that people will remember, while somebody else has a domain name that people might just automatically go to and check and assume is yours. So protect yourself. As soon as you've chosen a name, take these things into account. Do that research. Check the social media, the portfolio sites, the sites like Patreon and Zivity and Suicide Girls. Check all of those to make sure that your accounts, the accounts that you would want, are available, and then make them, even if you don't think you're going to do anything right away. Obviously, with a site like Suicide Girls, that might not work quite as well. I've not used them. I don't know quite how they work, but I think they require an invite-only basis or something. But with the rest of the sites, the email, the domain name, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Zivity, Patreon, Model Society, Model Mayhem, get your profile opened. Even if you're not quite ready to launch everything yet, reserving that profile for yourself means that it's there when you're ready for it. Hopefully this helps. Please feel free to leave any questions in the comments or message me. That's it for now. Bye.